iPad, I'm trying to watch myself so I can read the questions easier from here. All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to the Combine Cab. We're shelling corn tonight. Working on the second to last farm, so that's a good thing. Getting close to being done here. Northeast Ohio, welcome. I'm doing all right today. We're having a better day, kind of. So how are you guys? How's everybody doing? We've got a really nice sunset here tonight. I'll show you that. The camera doesn't do it justice, but it's a nice one. Very red again tonight. We've had a lot of those the last few days. All right. Where are we at? Have you used the 8300 yet this year? I have not used the 8300 much yet. Dan was using it the other day to move dirt with our one scraper hand there. And we used it this spring on our Landau disc saw. Dan used it this summer more for something. Maybe on that hand. It doesn't get a lot of use anymore. It's not big enough to pull the planters and the grain cart or any of the tillage stuff too much, so use it some, but not a lot. Hi from Wisconsin. What hour is it where you are? It is 6 o'clock here. How many more acres left? Well, let's see. We've got about 40 acres in this farm and 75 in another one. So slightly over 100. Is that 115 maybe? Great weather to finish. Yeah, it is good weather. I haven't looked at the extended forecast for a few days. We're calling for rain Monday or Tuesday maybe. I don't know if we'll get it or not, but it's beautiful out. It's been warm. It's dry again. The ground is plenty dry. It's good. We're getting a lot of tillage done, so that helps. So I am breaking in a new grain cart operator today. You'll see a little bit more about it in my video tomorrow. And but yeah, he's doing a good job. Just kind of learning as we go here, so we're taking a little bit slow today. But he's doing a real good job. Ken, thanks for the offer to come up and help finish, but I think we've got it. We're not too far off getting it done, so we should be all right. We talked about talked to other YouTubers. I have not talked to any other YouTubers. I would be interested to know if anybody else is having the same issues with YouTube that I am, or if I'm doing something wrong, or what. I'm not getting many answers out of YouTube, so that's been the frustrating part. It's been dragging on for a month now. I just told you guys about it here recently, but it has been dragging on for a while, so I'll keep going back and forth with them, see if I can figure anything else out. It is what it is. I'm upset about it, bummed, whatever you want to say, but at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world, so we'll be all right. Ionia, Michigan. Welcome. Corn looks good. Yeah, the corn we're in now is not great. That irrigated corn was really good. We've had some good stuff, been up and down. There's spots in this field that are running really good, but just overall, we're like 145, which, that's okay. It's nothing special. We've heard about leaving all those electronics in the field, equipment in the field. So we lock all our equipment when we go home for the night. So no, I don't worry about the electronics because they're in the cabs that are locked. And if somebody wants them that bad that they're going to break into the cab, doesn't really matter what I do, they're going to get them. So. Row head on my X9, yeah. Alright, turn it. Alright, where are we? Headed to big high school playoff game tonight. Watching North Branch versus Croswell. Al? Are you North Branch or Croswell? Why are you going? Which side are you on? I know some people from North Branch. Shanks, you bought one impression. I thought you had about the Shanks. By Shanks, I assume you mean those river points that we put on, those 360 bullet points. If that is what you're asking about, which is the only Shanks that I've bought recently or anything like the Shanks, so I'll assume it is. They are very nice. I haven't gone out and done much digging behind the ripper to see how good it's fracturing the ground between the points and stuff. But when Dad was running, in fact, I haven't even run it with them on, but Dad, after he did the first field, he made a point to tell me that was the best that ripper's ever run since we've had it. That's a pretty good review, so I'm pretty happy with them. They were almost identical in price to the John Deere points that we've been running, so yeah, we'll probably keep using them. Dallas, signal electric car, yeah, me too. I have pretty much ignored it in the last couple of days. Well, that patch on the tube, it's just a mandate metal, could end up with it. Yeah, I don't think that we're going to get much metal in the bed, at least not chunks or pieces from it. I do know that it is not a long-term solution. Obviously, the tube wore through in about 4 years, so the patch will probably wear through in about another 4 years. So we are going to address that more in the off-season. We've got a couple of different ideas. One of them being putting like a cushion box or a flow reducer or something to slow the flow down right before that transition from upper pipe into the lower pipe. Or they make some ceramic wear tiles that you can stick to the inside of the pipe so that when the grain hits that, it hits those ceramic tiles, wears on them instead of the pipe. So that's the other option, something that we might consider. Do you have any plans of restoring the 4440? Not really. The 4440 has been painted before. It's still a work tractor for us. We use it, although not in the field work, but it's a good utility tractor. It'll never leave the farm if I have anything to say about it. But at this point, no plans in really restoring it because it's a work tractor. We're still using it, so it doesn't need it that bad. Fort Wayne, yeah, you're not too far. So what about the A335R? So I got an update on that tractor last night. They took the torsional dampener for the crankshaft shaft off. Basically, it failed. The rubber separated from the metal inner sleeve, allowed the outer rubber and outer metal sleeve to slide rearward, which then caused the metal ring on it to wear into the timing cover. So all of that stuff's got to get replaced. We were also having some hydraulic oil leaks around the steering cylinder, so they're going to look at that while they got it up there. I haven't heard anything from them today. I hope maybe we'll get it back by the end of next week, but really doesn't matter at this point because we got to get the harvest done, and I hope that we're done before that we get that tractor back. So it is what it is on that. 16 row maybe, yeah, there. That's more likely. Jump down. Where are we at? you got me beat today, Scott. Yesterday I would have had you in my irrigated field. 206 is pretty good, but no, we're in the mid 140s here today. So the field that I'm shelling right now, you guys will probably remember this one was it's one that we 100% replanted. It's where we finished up with that anhydrous bar from John Deere, and this is the one that had all the volunteer beans in it. If you remember this spring, we were disking down some cover crop soybeans, and then they all grew, and none of the corn grew, and so we ended up replanting this whole field because the volunteer bean stand was quite thick. Blueprints made yet. Yeah, so Michael, we're still working on tweaking the designing and stuff yet, but we do have a pretty good plan of what we're going to end up with. It's just a matter of some small tweaks here and there. Do you have all your wheat planted? Yes, the wheat has been planted for a month now, quite a while. We got our wheat planted early. There is still a little bit going in around here. We've had really nice weather this week, so some guys are patching some wheat in yet. I don't really think that's a great idea at this point. It's too late, but we'll see. Yeah, Chris, video on fertility needs for irrigated versus dryland. I'm going to talk more about that irrigated field at some point. It may be a couple of weeks, but it's sometime I will be sitting in front of my computer looking at yield maps and going through and analyzing stuff, and I'll talk a lot about the differences between that irrigated, non-irrigated, fertility, whether it was worth it or not, all that stuff. I'm going to wrap it up at some point, just haven't got to yet. Hey, I kind of screwed up and took this pass when I shouldn't have, so we're going to have the dump just sitting on the end there. So I'm just getting turned around. Where are we at?
Are you just going to dump right into the truck then?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Don't have to scale.
I'm not used to that. We almost never dump straight into the truck because I always want the weights from the scale, but because the scale's not recording anything right now, because tractor switch, I don't need to do that. So yeah, I'll just dump it right in the truck.
Sounds good. You're going to be about halfway down the field then?
Yep, probably about like that. Alright. Hi, Carrie, Kayla. Do you plan to run some strip till this fall? I would really want to try some strip till. I don't have any access to a strip till bar. I didn't make any headway in finding anything. I didn't try that hard, to be fair. So, no, probably not going to do any strip till this fall. Something I'm still strongly considering or trying to figure out, but gonna have to wait another year, it looks like. Your 8-month-old daughter loves to watch this video. Well, that's awesome. 8-month-old, start them young, teach them about farming good. My 2- and 3-year-old, well, no, my 3-year-old loves watching me. The 2-year-old, not so much. He would prefer Blippi or Paw Patrol. I get it. I'm not as entertaining. But what are you gonna do? All right. Oh, we're catching our truck trailer. He just left, and we've already got a truck over half full. Yeah, that's all right. Okay, where are we at? I see a super chat. I'm going to get to it. Thank you, by the way. Still having issues with the fingers on the chaffer bending. I haven't looked at it today. I don't think so. I think they're all pretty decent, but I should probably open it up and look in there again. I did. Yes, not yesterday. The day before I looked at it, and they were all okay at that point. So. Oh, 18-month-old. Yeah, that makes more sense. Fent 10T is the best in the market now. Yeah, never run a Fent. The issue with Fent for me is dealer support. I don't have anywhere to buy one that I have confidence that they will care about me, I guess. Our John Deere dealer is by far, but in fact, 2 or 3 John Deere dealers that I could work with before I would choose to work with any competitive dealership. Not because I don't like or want to run their equipment, but the support that you get from the dealership means a lot. And maybe it's just because we run all John Deere and so they don't try, but I don't know. That's why we run John Deere, or a big part of it at least. Do you double crop your wheat? We do occasionally double crop soybeans after our wheat. We did not do any this year. I don't have any double crop soybeans to run. Basically, it was too late this year, and we had some issues with herbicides that we used on wheat preventing the double crop beans because, yeah, we couldn't do it. So, no double crops this year. It's kind of a hit and miss thing for us anyway. Some years double crop work, some years they don't. Just depends on when we get wheat harvested and if we have any rain at the end of the summer or not. This year, with as dry as it was, even if we would have planted double crop beans, they would not have been any good because we didn't get any rain. Did Jack get all the pistons out? So we have 2 of the 4 pistons out on that F12. We have not gotten them all. Yeah, I need to update you guys on that, and I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but it's coming. We broke one of the pistons. It had a crack in it, and when we were pressing it out, it cracked around and broke. So, yeah, now I get to find a piston. Maybe a challenge. I haven't looked yet, but it may be a challenge. Highest bushel reading you've seen on the combine? Well, in the irrigated field, I saw a few places that were running in the 340s. 350 was probably the highest. I couldn't even tell you today. I haven't watched it that close. When you're 9 is good at corn, it's hard to watch and sit here and be like, oh, yeah, great. It says 221. Oh, 241. 264 right there. That's probably the highest I've seen today. This field is very variable, like most of them have been. You get down in the dips, the low ground, and the corn is really good. You get up on the hills, and it's terrible. I'm guessing that we're seeing 150, no, more than that. If it got to 260, we're seeing a 200 bushel swing in one pass. It goes from 70 bushel corn on the knobs to 250 and on the low ground. It's crazy. So in the spring, you can plant your wheat without tillage. I missed something there, Al. What are you talking about? In the spring, you can plant into your wheat without tillage. Oh, are you talking about the strip till stuff? Yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to do with these cover crops. That's why I planted that oats and radish cover crop when we did all the tillage this fall. I'm hoping that in the spring we can just plant it and I don't have to do anything then. David, thank you for that super chat. I appreciate that. It means a lot. You don't have to do that, but thank you. How many acres left we've got? We're down to, what did I just figure? I just figured this out. 115, 110. Right there. Where are we at? Right here. See, I need my wife to sit here like Brian has to read me questions. Only 20 acres of corn left on our farm, so close, lumped in. Good job. Hope you guys get her finished up. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tonight. I don't know. After harvest, we'll be working on the farm wall restoration. Not really. That project is going to get pushed into the corner of the shop there. When Jack is up or when I get a little bit of spare time and I can work on it, I'm going to keep working on it. But it's not a priority. I've got other stuff that has to get done that does not have to get done. So after harvest here, priority becomes tillage. When weather's permitting, we're going to keep working on the tillage stuff, whether that's discing corn stalks or running the ripper. We're almost caught up and done with what has to be done with the ripper. The only thing that we've got left to do is the soybean stubble at our farm down to Berkey. We've been waiting on some lime to get spread there. I heard today that they're hauling the lime in and piling it, so that hopefully will get spread. Maybe they did some today or tomorrow, but early next week, if not, and middle or the end of next week, we can get down there with our big tractor and the ripper and get that stuff done. We should be done with harvest by then, and we can put the 8430 back on the disc. and maybe we'll get our other tractor back. Who knows? We'll see. If weather permits, and we want to rip up some more corn stalks, we may do that. We are going to try and run the ripper through the corn stalks in that irrigated field. So there's 175 acres there. That'll take a while. Hey, are you going to come catch me on this pass up here or no?
I didn't know if you said you could take the whole pack.
Oh, well, I can make a route, but I would rather unload while we're moving on the go instead of you just sitting there. Rookies. He's probably watching me right now. Come on, Brock. Let's see. I'm chopping stalks tonight. Likes to work at the tractor. Yep, nope, that ain't gonna work. Can you explain why you plant wheat and radishes in the winter? Yeah, so wheat is easy. Wheat is, there's two different types of wheat. There's winter wheat and spring wheat. In our geography, we grow winter wheats, which means we plant it in the fall. It starts growing in the fall, it tillers out a little bit, means it puts multiple shoots on, but that wheat has to go through a dormant period, which basically means it has to get cold and freeze, and that plant goes dormant. And then in the spring, when it warms up and it breaks its dormancy, it triggers that plant to continue tillering and then to eventually joint and start producing the head that the kernels are in, the seeds. So that's just the type of wheat that we grow here. It's winter wheat. It's got to get planted in the fall. I know out west, especially in the upper Midwest, Dakotas, they plant a lot of spring wheat that they try and plant, I think, in March or April, and then they harvest it usually later in the summer, August, September time frame, but that's not what we grow here. And the radishes, as far as the radishes go, that's just a cover crop. So we plant that oats and radish. Maybe that's what you meant by wheat. It's a oats and radish blend, and we're not going to harvest that. There's nothing that's going to be taken off of that field. It's just simply to have something growing in that field while we're waiting till before we plant corn next spring. So that was a wheat field that we harvested in July. We got it worked out. We put some chicken litter on there, some manure, and so we plant the oats and radishes to kind of scavenge those nutrients. The roots will find them, and then as those plants break down in the spring, the nutrients will be available to next year's corn crop. It also helps hold the soil in place so we can try and eliminate any erosion that we may have. And yeah, just a cover crop. They will both winter kill, so we don't have to spray them. They just die off the cold temperatures. Alright, where are we at? Did you decide about the John Deere 2510? Yeah, I've decided. I don't know if the rest of them have. I want to buy one, but we haven't pulled the trigger on one yet. It's likely going to happen, I think. We just haven't done it yet. Alright. 115 in South Africa. Thanks for watching, man. Other videos, can't wait for the house to get Yeah, I would much prefer pivot irrigation. But we're cheap. Someday we'll have a pivot. Okay, go. When I shut that auger off, you gotta get out of the way so I can fold my auger in before I have to turn up here. What's that?
Just the end of the field right here, do they keep going?
Oh, yeah, there's a lane here, another maybe 2 rounds yet, and yeah, it's a separate field.
Gotcha.
Alright. Into your ranch, just about to Yes, Al. Okay, that makes more sense. That is the plan, to plant right into that cover crop. That's still to be determined. This field has to be smooth enough in the spring, and you know, if we get any big erosion, gully washers like we had this year after we plant it, before we plant, and it causes problems, then we might have to run the field cultivator through it. But the goal is to just go in and plant it. How many acres do y'all plant? We farm a little over 3,000 acres, Scott. What equipment will be the farm to buy next? As far as equipment upgrades go, there's a few things we've been talking about, but I think Anheuser's bar and that John Deere bar is probably about the top of the list. Carrot and celery farms around my area. Have you ever seen them? I've not seen them in person. I've seen videos of carrot harvest, not celery. You must be in that area that what do they call that? Prairie or something up there, right at the base of the thumb, where it's all that heavy muck ground, big long stretch, Saginaw area. I've been through there. Know what seed you'll be planting next year? Yes, I do know what seed I'll be planting next year. In fact, I've got all my seed for next year ordered already, so and paid for. Enjoy watching your videos. Keep them coming. Hopefully, you realize somebody's watching. Thank you, Mark. We plant soybeans next year where the corn is planted this year. Yes, almost everywhere that we have corn now will be soybeans next year. I do have one farm that I think is going to be corn on corn. And that's just because of rotational issues. We were heavy on corn acres this year, and I don't really want to be that heavy on bean acres next year, so we'll flip one, and that's a result of all the prevent plant stuff we had last year. Have you ever used a batwing mower on corn stalks versus a disc? No. I know some guys do that. I mean, I have a little bit, but not on large scale. Or they'll use a flail shredder or something like that. I like our disc because it moves a little bit of dirt and it helps incorporate that stuff and mix it into the soil and get it breaking down. We're trying to create a good seed bed for our soybeans for next year, and so by loosening that dirt up, knocking some of those root balls out, root crowns from the corn, and getting that stuff breaking down faster, that's the whole point. So we feel like our disc does a pretty good job of that. And there's probably better tools out there, but that's what we've got, and that's why we bought it, and we're pretty happy with the job that it does. Snack bag items. So I don't have any snacks left really of my own from today. However, I had a rider stop with me earlier today, and he brought me some stuff. I got a bag of peanut M&Ms. I got a couple of big old Slim Jims. And he brought me a bag of chips. There was also some Gatorades and water. Water? Something. Yeah, I think water. There was a Snickers bar. I already ate that. Okay, so the last time you were okay with starting in the center of the field, so probably didn't need to come all the way to the end, right?
Yeah, that's right. Go halfway.
That's all right. You're good. Just teaching. Doesn't have to catch me though.
I had high hopes that was a lot better corn.
Yeah, no, this isn't that great of corn. You get enough yield increase to justify irrigating the corn. Yeah. So like I said a little while ago, we'll do an analysis on that later. But yes, bottom line, it was worth the time and effort we put into irrigating that corn. Somebody commented on this morning's video, maybe yesterday's video, that the yield increase was about 54 bushel, which I know where they're getting their numbers, and they're not wrong. However, the if I segregate out the areas of that field that got watered from the areas that didn't, the yield increase is much better than that. And so it was without question worth it. We'll do it again. We're going to keep watering corn when and where we can. Alright, when does the farm do its end-of-year review on how things went? Be able to share with us on how things went? Yeah, so I'm not going to get into super detail about the finances of our farm and how everything is going, but I'll talk about that a little bit. We do, at this time of year, you know, we get to the end of harvest and we kind of figure how are our yields, what's the prices, how are we doing with paying our bills, and what kind of grain do we have contracted and sold at what prices, what's left in the bins unpriced, you know, what our inventories is. We kind of make up a cash flow projection for next year and stuff. So we do a lot of that kind of stuff between now and the end of the year, and figure out how everything's going, and then we can kind of make some decisions on capital improvements, whether that's equipment, you know, any kind of upgrades and stuff, and whether we think we've got the money to be able to do that kind of stuff. So we're getting there. I'll share it as we do it a little bit, but like I said, I'm not gonna give you too many details on our financial situation. Where are we at? Right there. Did the update fix your transmission issue? For the most part, yes. Once in a while when I'm going downhill, the transmission will still jerk a little bit. And I don't know if it's always done that or if that's just still lingering issues. But for the most part, it's not surging at all. I've actually had 2 more software updates that did come through on the remote software update stuff on my display here. I've gotten both of those installed. I don't know if they made any more of a difference than the one they came down and installed or not, but yeah, it seems to have made a big difference and helped basically solve that problem. So a little down corn here. Alright, have you gotten any offers to test equipment on your channel? No, I have not. I'm a peon in the ag YouTube world. I don't have the
light on the auger work.
On what auger?
On my auger.
Patience, man, patience. The lights on the auger on the grain cart don't come on until the auger is fully unfolded. So you didn't know that. Alright, let me show you this. You know, show you the worst parts of the field. I haven't had any down corn in this field until this spot right here. I don't know why it's down corn, but it is. Our corn head does a pretty good job of getting underneath that and picking them up, standing it up so that the snapping rolls can get it, and we can actually get the ears off of it. But usually down corn is down for a reason, and it's not very good yielding. What that reason is there, I don't know. Oh, turn it back around. Come on. Okay, where are we at? Review, and you did, and ideas for upgrades for farm. Well, we kind of talked about that a little bit. There's a lot of ideas being thrown around. Like I said, anhydrous bar is top of the list. We would like to get an air seeder and upgrade from our drills that we use to plant weeds. We're getting to that point where we need to think about upgrading the tractor. We're kind of to the point where we need to think about upgrading the combine. So there's several things. Semi-trucks, maybe. You know, there are things that need upgraded, but none of it's going to happen. Or not a lot of it's going to happen right now. Maybe we might get something, but you'll be no, you won't be the first to know. You'll be the first to know after it shows up. Toledo, hey. daylight savings time should go away. Well, if you're complaining about daylight savings time because it gets dark at 5:30 now, you're on the wrong side of that argument, because technically we're off of daylight savings time now. Daylight savings time is through most of the summer. I could care less one way or the other. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't mind it in the fall. It kind of sucks in the spring for a day, but it's all right. Do you ever put beans in the irrigated field? Well, so here's the thing about our irrigation system. So using that traveling gun the way that we do, it is mobile. We do not have to irrigate the same field every year. So yes, that field will be soybeans next year. But if we have corn on a different field that we can irrigate, we're probably going to choose to irrigate corn before beans every single time. And so we would go to a different field and irrigate a different field of corn next year. However, that said, the other field that we typically irrigate has wheat growing in it. It was beans this year, but we planted wheat there. So I don't really have a good field going to corn that I can irrigate next year. It is, but there's some in the back, so you just need to come in the back here. I've got some more end rows to take off. This field's kind of L-shaped. So, what was I saying? Oh, beans. So, there is a high likelihood that we will be irrigating the bean field next year, the same field that we did corn this year, just it will be beans. Good or bad. We have irrigated beans before, but not a lot. I would really like to try and grow some 80 bushel beans, and I think I can do it with water, and I think I can do it in that field. So we'll see. That's kind of the tentative plan at this point, but we're a long ways away from spring, and things can and will change between now and then. All right, we're getting down to the end of this field. There's about 7 acres left. But like I was telling him, it's kind of L-shaped, so we got some shorter rows back here. We got to do some more ends in a minute. All right. You said you have to report to the state how much water you pump out of the river. Do they charge you for that water? No, we don't have to pay for the water. They just like to track it, I guess, so we have to report it. Does the grain cart driver always dump his grain into the semi after you unload? It depends on where we're at. So like when we're dumping up and we're going right by the truck, I usually like to unload then, especially if it's wet and we're worried about compaction issues. No reason to carry corn around when you're right by a truck and we don't have to. Now, what I'm doing right now, where we're L-shaped and we're a long ways away from the truck, we'll probably put at least 2, if not 3 dumps in that grain cart so we're not making so many trips back and forth. Why don't we see much of your family on here? Well, Chris, quite frankly, because I don't see much of my family this time of the year. I try and get my boys on camera whenever they ride with me. They have made appearances in quite a few videos. My wife rode with me a couple weeks ago in one for a while, and she was on there. But my wife works full time. She's not really
Always the back, the little road, or
she's not really involved with the farm and stuff too much. So when she works full time, she picks our kids up. She takes care of them in the evenings when I'm not around, and puts them to bed. And I usually get home after they're in bed, and I see them in the mornings. And it's part of the stress this week is that I haven't got to see them very much. So I'm not sure yet. Just sit tight until I get these ends done. So anyway, yeah, I wish I could get them in the combine with me more, or to ride with me more, but heck, the one time my boys were coming out and they were trying to ride, they chose to ride with Grandpa in the tractor instead of me. What are you going to do? So, Grandpa wins. There's down corner drop circles. I don't think it was crop circles. I think there actually used to be some trees there that we tore out, and there's probably a fertility issue, but it's a really small spot, so. Alright, gonna peel some end rows off. You guys want to see some great corn? 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. Look at that beautiful corn right there. Trees, man. That's, oh, look at that hole. Oh, straddle it. Don't fall in the hole. Don't fall in the hole. Alright, pull off a row. Right there. It's generally not good to get your snouts across rows, but when there's no corn in it anyway, not the end of the world, is it? Alright, I gotta hang you guys back up. I'm trying to steer. Okay, I'll get back to questions in a second. I have to dodge tree branches. This is what kills your average. Corn that looks like what I just showed you. That's why trees suck. And I know, trees are good. Oxygen, blah, blah, blah. Just not good when they're along that field, is all. Corn makes oxygen too. Hey, Rock, leave me down on this end. We'll bump head back up again. Meaning if I had time, don't follow me where I went. We have been leaving the dryer on all night. I've been coming every night between 2:30 and 3 to check on it, just to make sure everything's running all right. But yes, we have been letting it run. We do want to get a monitoring system for the leg just to make sure that if something happens, it will shut itself down and not destroy itself like it did last year. We haven't done that yet, but it is something we're looking into. We had a few issues with our wet leg, the big leg tonight, or this morning, I guess, last night. Had a bolt come loose on one of the buckets. Fortunately, Phil was around and he caught it, but yeah, things happen. So, but we would be way behind with harvest if we had not been letting our dryer run as wet as our corn has been. Today, this stuff's running about 24%. It's not as bad as some of it has been, but it's still plenty wet. Alright, where am I at? Oh yeah, talking about me being a peon. Yeah, we'll see, Bill. I hope you're right. You're like a movie star. So, one of the things that I was kind of looking forward to my channel, and yeah, comment asking about if I feel like a movie star because of my channel. I haven't been doing this long enough, but I was really looking forward to going to all farm shows and stuff and seeing if people would recognize me. And then they canceled all the farm shows, so I haven't been able to go. So once in a while I get recognized. At one of my seed meetings last winter, somebody recognized me, and somewhere else, where was I? A few local people that watch my videos and say something, but I already know them, so that's not anything. All right, bail out. So that's not anything really unusual, but so no, not really anything too much yet, but I am looking forward to that. I don't know if farm shows are ever going to happen again, but I am looking forward to seeing if people recognize me or not. Yeah, there'll be no Caribbean vacations this winter. Again, because of COVID. I was supposed to go. We had a trip. It does sound like we're going to take a vacation next summer, though. We've got something planned for the end of July, so kind of looking forward to that. But that's a long ways off yet. I got an email from my mom this morning that she booked a place, so that'll be fun. I'll tell you about it probably in July. Sorry, got any more intros here. This is what you get when I do live streams actually from the equipment. So I do still have to operate the equipment. Trees, dark, dusty windows, trees. Oh, there's one. Okay. I do have a camera on the back of the combine, which helps in that situation. It's not as good in the dark, though. Thanks, Carrie. Wouldn't it be smarter to sell the soybean planter and the weed drills and replace them with an air seeder instead of just replacing the weed drills with an air seeder? Well, if you were to go by that theory, then it would have been smarter to just buy an air seeder when we bought our bean planter instead of buying a third planter then. I am a firm believer that it is far better to plant your soybeans than to use an air seeder or a drill. Our singulation, our spacing, our seeding rate, all of that stuff is so much better with the planter than with a drill or an air seeder that we do not want to switch back. Plus, we like the 15-inch rows for soybeans and 7.5 or even a 10-inch row in wheat would be okay. But no, there are a lot of people that do it that way. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. It's just the way that we've set our operation up and the way that we feel like the job that we can do. We do a far better job with a planter unit than with a drill unit as far as planting beans go. So we're not going to go that route. Is your father back to 100%? I don't know if he's quite 100%, but yes. He is working all the time. He's been driving the tillage stuff this week. I haven't seen him a lot this week either. Did help him out a little bit this morning. You'll see in tomorrow's video. But yeah, he's not taking it easy or holding back at all from any of his heart issues that we had a couple weeks ago. So that's a good thing. He was supposed to have a checkup and something with his regular doctor, and I don't know if he's had that yet or if he's found anything out or what's going on with it. Honestly, I don't know how he's feeling, if he's feeling better or not, but he's been working all day, driving tractor all day, so that's good. You had any luck with sorting out your issue? I have not. I don't expect to get any answer anytime soon on this YouTube thing, guys. My mom says the boys... Boys chose Grandpa over me. They always choose Grandpa over Grandma too. Do you see any yield difference in the ground that you rip versus no-till fields? Yes we do. And we don't do much no-till. At a minimum, we're running the disc over corn stalks. Everything corn is getting a ripper run through it. The beans, either we're disking the stalks down in the fall and again in the spring, or we're running the ripper through it in the fall and then hitting it with the field cultivator in the spring. I haven't looked at any side-by-sides or really analyzed stuff yet this year. That's an after-harvest thing. But last year, we saw pretty significant gains where we were running the ripper over just the disc. So it creates a lot more workload. It takes a lot slower running the ripper than the disc. So we don't do it all that way. We try and mix it up and go back and forth a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely, we've definitely seen an advantage to more tillage. Good or bad, that's what we're finding. bins full until prices go up and we sell after harvest. Yeah, so we forward contract some grain pretty much all year, or whenever we think prices are decent, we'll contract stuff, and we can contract for delivery whenever we want to deliver it. So we do enough for fall delivery, harvest delivery, that we can fit the rest of our production in our bins. So basically all of the corn and most of the beans, not all beans, but a lot of the beans that we've delivered this fall have been forward contracted, stuff that we sold last winter, last spring, throughout the summer, whenever it happened to have been. And then we can store everything else. Now the bean price has been really good this fall, so we did cash out some beans. We just spot sold them this fall, and we're pretty happy with that. So the grain that is in the bins, some of that is already sold. Some of it, because instead of selling for fall or harvest delivery, we'll sell it for January or March or July delivery or whenever. And it's not always sold. Some of the stuff in the bin is already sold. Not all of it. A lot of it's unpriced. So we can either cash that out now or throughout the winter, or we'll keep making forward contracts and, say next week prices rally, and we'll say we want to deliver it in March. So we can sell it now for March delivery. So that's how that works. Here it is, the sawmill, put the trees to good use. Yeah, well, we cut as many trees a year as we can. Harvesting 15% corn in Wisconsin. Nice. We have not had any really dry corn since we were down in Berkey. Everything's been wet. But it's because of all the replant. Like the field that I'm in now was 100% replant corn. So the fact that it's down to 24, 23%, I'll take that. But yeah, our corn down to Berkey, where we started shelling corn and stuff, was all 15 to 17%. And that was really nice. Didn't yield worth a crap, but it was dry at least. Thoughts on cleaning grain before taking to the elevator or dockage? Well, if you're having a bunch of issues, then cleaning grain is probably good. You got to figure out your cost on it and whether it's worth it. But usually we don't have that dirty of a sample, and so we don't run our stuff through a grain cleaner. The first 3 or 4 loads out of a bin maybe have some more fines in it, or be sort of dirty, but after that, usually our FM levels are within the tolerances and we don't get docked. I suppose that's possible, but our bean planter is a vacuum planter. It means it uses a vacuum plate, and I don't know how you would meter weed out with that. I suppose there probably is some sort of a cup or plate or something that you can put in there, but not something we've ever used. It's a whole different style of planter, and I do know some guys use them for planting wheat, but I don't know how they do it. I've never looked into that. What kind of corn do you use to make moonshine? Well, you can make moonshine out of any corn. Antigen corn would be the good stuff, but good luck getting your hands on it. Alright, I gotta fill this card. Start getting full like this, you just hold speed and I'll fill the front and back of the cart if we need to, but we're going to stop when we get to the end here, okay? Keep slowing down. grandpa. They do always pick grandpa. Still related to you or any other family members? Yes, Phil is my uncle. So my dad, there was 10 siblings in his family. My dad, my Uncle Phil, and another, well, my Uncle Jack, who you guys have seen, and then another uncle that are kind of involved in the farm. And yes, it's all in the video descriptions if you read them. Always said that when you drill beans, it's just somewhat of a controlled drill. Yeah, we always call it a controlled spill with a drill because it's just the meters are not real accurate. What are good resources to go to if you want to get started farming? Initial investment is daunting to say the least. Yeah. Getting started from scratch is going to be extremely challenging. I'm not saying it can't be done because it can, it has been done, but you got to get creative, you got to be pretty innovative, and you gotta have some help. You got to have some help. Resources, I would say you can check with your local county extension agent. I don't know what state you're in, but they should have whatever the state land grant school is, like in Michigan, Michigan State University Extension is a good place to start. County Farm Bureau may be a decent place to start. There may be some beginning farmer or low interest loans through the Farm Service Agency you can look into. The best thing you can do is find a neighbor or somebody that wants to hire you and will work with you. You know, there's a lot of older farmers that want to slow down or they can use some help but don't have any children that want to farm or something. If you can find somebody that you can help out with, the problem is a lot of times they may not have the ability to pay real well and stuff, and so trading equipment for labor or that kind of stuff is often a really good way to try and get started and stuff. So good luck. It's not going to be easy. How long will you be on? Dinner's ready. I don't know, James. What are we at? Almost an hour. The last one went like an hour and a half. Maybe another 15, 20 minutes. I don't know. We'll see how long this, how we do. When you guys stop asking questions, I'll stop answering them. Do you spread manure on your fields or fertilizer? For the most part, we're using commercial fertilizer. We do put that chicken litter on a lot of our wheat stubble ground, but we don't have any livestock, so we don't have our own manure. One of our neighbors at our farm down to Berkey puts a little bit of hog manure on some of our ground, or the last couple of years they have anyway, but we don't do a lot of that. The dairies up here are always trying to get rid of manure, but they cause a lot of compaction. There's a lot of drawbacks to using the dairy manure, so we've kind of stayed away from that. Amazing voting turnout this year. Yeah, I hear voter turnout was really good. Like, almost too good to be true. Good. Sorry, I'm not getting political. We're not doing that on this channel. I think I'm off the road. But off the road a good way, where I'll be a 7-row pass instead of a 1-row pass. No row of shame tonight. Alright. I see right to repair is doing great versus John Deere. I have not followed that or seen any updates on that. How many acres of soybeans are you going to plant in April? Or best fields by planting on? Well, I'll plant all of them in April if the weather permits, but our ground doesn't usually dry out that fast. I really want to try and plant some beans in March this year. Commercial, like 5-10 acres worth of beans in March. After my little trial of March 17th planted beans this year did so spectacularly well, I would love to try and do that on a larger scale. Not like 500 acres larger scale, but enough to be able to run the combine through it and take it to yield. Would you ever plant sugar beets? I mean, if there was a market for them. We're way too far away from the sugar beet growing areas to actually grow them and be able to sell them. So it's not in our geography. I don't know that our ground is really well suited for sugar beets as it is. Although we did used to grow sugar beets at our farm in Berkey. My grandpa used to grow sugar beets back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, I want to say. That's been a long time ago. So. This light on the cab that I have on so that you guys can see me makes it very difficult to see out the windows. Oh. Yeah, we're definitely off roads. Alright.
You got anything back there?
Yes, for sure. Do not give up on YouTube. Thank you for that. Nice warm evening. Yeah, it's been pretty nice out. Be a good night for a bonfire this week. I think at one point I saw it was supposed to be 70 degrees on Sunday here, which for the getting to be middle of November, that's unheard of. That's notable. Do you guys remember last year at this time? Any of you guys that have been following my channel for a year, even if you haven't, go back and watch the videos from the first week in November last year and look at the weather conditions we were dealing with trying to finish shelling corn compared to what we've got right now. Unbelievable. We had more snow the first week in November last year than we had the entire rest of the winter. We were fighting snow. We had snow on the corn. We couldn't shell because we were plugging up the sieves in the combine. Yeah, it's kind of the same stuff that Zach's been dealing with the last couple of weeks that we had here last year. And this year it's about mid-60s. It's incredible. You can go all the way to the back. We'll come coming up. Good luck, Matt. Well, from Ireland, do you have any advice for someone that wants to be involved in agriculture? Well, Moses, I just answered this on how to get started farming a little bit, the resources, but it depends on how you want to be involved in agriculture and what your background is, and skill set and all that stuff. Labor is extremely hard to find. If you guys are just joining or joined recently, I was telling them earlier that I'm breaking in a new grain cart driver today. Guy I know from local that wanted to work for us a little bit. He's worked for some neighboring farms and stuff, and he texted me today, and turned it out we needed a grain cart operator. So I said, yeah, absolutely. So he's learning, he's new, and doing a pretty good job for me. But if you have a skill set where you can operate equipment, there's jobs for you somewhere. The best advice I can give to somebody in that situation, that's even if you're from a background in farming and stuff, but you're trying to get a job working for somebody, or want to be in agriculture like that, is be teachable. If you walk in and think you know everything and you're not going to listen to me or learn or be willing to adapt to what the ways that certain farms work and stuff, you won't last long. If you'll listen to me and you'll learn from what I tell you and work together well, there's a place for you. Ooh, we're full. What is the name of the irrigation system they use out west? Do you have large enough fields doing it? So I assume you're talking about pivot irrigation. Basically a big sprinkler that turns around the circle in a center point. Yeah, we certainly have fields that could use that. There's some of that around, not a lot. There's not a lot of irrigation in our area. You go north of here 30, 40 miles and they have sand. There's a lot of good irrigation up there. The biggest reason that we don't have that and didn't start with that is cost. Those systems are more expensive than the one that we have, and it's not mobile. You have to irrigate the same spot, same field every year, whether it's corn or beans. With the system that we have, we can go whatever field is corn on a given year. We don't have to stay in the same field every single year, and so that gives us more flexibility. What is substrate of I don't know. I have not seen that. OLF, I assume you mean One Lonely Farmer. I think that's the name of his channel. I have not watched any of his stuff, so I'm not really sure. As far as what he's putting down on the ground, we apply a lot of things to the soil. Could be like something like gypsum or lime or manure or whatever. I don't have a good answer. Man, you're like learning and everything. Good job.
What's that?
I say you're like learning and everything. Good job.
The radio just died.
My radio died? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it keeps beeping. It's on flat life. I'll head up to the truck.
Will that fill the truck?
This will pop it off.
Okay. Last pass in this field. Alright, where am I at? France. Keep up the great videos. You. And all the employees of the farm. What specialty you bring to the operations? Well, we don't have that many employees, right? So it's me and my dad and my Uncle Phil full time. That's it. We have Ben who drives green cart and tractor for us a handful of days a year, and this kid that started today. So he may be around a little bit more. We'll see how things go moving forward. But yeah, we don't have a lot of employees, so we do kind of all have our own jobs that we tend to do. But I found that I am kind of the one that has to be in the position to be able to do any of the jobs at any given time. You guys see that? Yeah, that is in fact a roll of shame. I don't know how that happened. So anyway, I don't know that I really have a specialty that's my thing. I tend to do more of I take care of all the seed stuff because I run a seed business on the side, so I guess that's my specialty. I also tend to do a lot of the winter maintenance, shop work, and I plant all the corn. I run the combine a lot, although my dad also runs the combine a lot, so we trade off on that. And but there's nothing that we do on our farm that I'm not capable of doing. When it's 2 rows, I think it's a bonus round. When it's 1 row, it's past a shame. That's how we're gonna do this. Oh well. Alright, so that wraps up this field as soon as we're done here. We've got another little one up here to do yet. I don't know that we're going to get it done tonight. It's about 7 o'clock. Nathan, good to see you not bringing any knives lately. Yeah. Nope, haven't broke any knives on the bean head lately. Clever. Actually, I shouldn't say it now, but I'm going to. Our combine has been running remarkably well and smooth, and we have not had any issues for almost the entirety of corn harvest. I had an O-ring blowout yesterday, but that was pretty minor. So for the most part, knock on wood, our combine has been running really well. Last year we had a lot of trouble finishing up belts and different stuff. But so far, so good. All right. I'm doing better today. Thanks for asking, Robert. Try it without cab lights. I think it worked well last time live stream. All right, you tell me. From my view, you can't see me hardly at all here. But you tell me, is that better? I gotta get my monitor set up. North. With your new house, do you wish you could put it farther back off the road? Kinda. I kinda wish I could put it a little farther off the road. I sort of feel like I made a mistake when I put my barn in the back on the hill. Should have put the barn up by the road, put the house on the hill behind it, but too late now. It's not the end of the world. So that's better. All right, we'll leave it like that. The way that the hill works in front of our house, we're trying to get some daylight windows in the basement. So we're trying to use that hill to our advantage. The house is going to end up a little bit close to the road, but like I was telling my wife the other day when we were looking at stuff, I would much rather have more of a backyard than a front yard. Like I'm never going to go out in the front yard and play with my kids or do anything out there. So that's not a big deal. For me, I want room between my house and my barn and room to put a patio in or a playground for the kids or to go out and play catch or do whatever and be back behind the house off the road. So it doesn't bother me that much.
You want me to stay down here?
We're probably going to dump going up on the next, like I'm going to make a full round, end up in the back, and we'll dump the next time I'm heading up towards the truck here, so you can go towards the back. Oh, no shame in it, yeah. Ben Burns, thank you. That is completely unnecessary, but thank you so much for that super chat. I really, really appreciate that. It's fine. Yep, the lights are better. All right, cool. Good, we're almost done. Guys, I'm running out of questions. We're going to end this if you don't ask questions. If I was building a business shop and house on the same property for the shop and then the house, and the customers and potential robbers don't have to drive by the house getting the business. Yeah, so the thing about my seed business though, I almost never have customers. It's not like I have anything of value in there that's, yeah. That's a valid thought and point there about not driving by the house and stuff, but it's not something that I have customers come to me very often. Once in a while picking up some seed or something in the spring, but it's mostly just a warehouse. I'm just bringing stuff in and out of there, so the truck traffic is going to be the worst of it in the winter, the spring, but even that's not too terribly bad, so not too worried about it. The house is going to be offset to the south a little bit, so it won't be directly in front of the barn, which will help. Sorry, I'm opening up at Endros and there's trees in the corners. Gotta drive. Oh, come on. or setting up this GPS. So bear with me. Hey Brock, can you still hear me? One.
I can hear you a little bit. Not much longer.
All right, we got to set up that radio or that GPS. So you should, yeah. You want to change your field somewhere. It should say US 127 north or south is the field that you're in. You want to change that to the north field.
Change to the north field, you said?
Yes, and then once you do that, you can set your track 0 to that main again. This radio's dying.
It says field exit detected. Press the map to find field.
Yeah, that's because you're not in the field that you just told it you were in. That'll go away when you get into this field.
Now set the coordinates with I school.
Right, well you can select the line now, but you'll have to shift it when we get going. But those roads are going to run north-south. We're going to go in a different direction. I'm doing the end rows now, so you're not going to have auto steer while we're doing these ends.
I did not get anything that is not going to let me listen to you.
Okay. I'll stop and come see it if I have to. Alright. Well, that may be the end of it. Okay. Where did all this comments come from? I asked for questions so you guys don't disappoint here. Thank you for making these videos. My great children are watching them as well. Mississippi. Thank you. Beautiful farm. Thank you. How much do farmers pay their employees an hour? Well, that depends on the farm. Highly varies, and it's going to highly depend on your attitude and skill set. Some are going to pay more than others. You know, I don't know. Depends on where you're at. I would say if you have any skills whatsoever, and you have some ability to drive equipment, you should be making $15, $20 an hour fairly easily. Some guys are going to pay a lot more than that. It just depends on how scarce labor is, how hard it is to find somebody, and I know. He's annoying now. I can't talk to him. But yeah, anyway, the wages are going to vary drastically depending on lots of different factors. All right, now we're ready, Brock. I was thinking about this the other day. Everything at our grain system, with the exception of the pit and the overhead bin, is new since 2006. Now, there was a grain system there before 2006, but everything that was there before that has been taken out, removed, replaced, moved to a different place, something. So, basically that long. 15 years? Yes, the Sparties do play at noon tomorrow. Tomorrow was going to be a good day, guys. I know I had a little rough week here earlier this week, and we're going to have a good day tomorrow. The Sparties play at noon. Buckeyes play at 7:30, I think. Night game. I think it's 8. I don't know. It's going to be a good day. New tight spreader behind the combine. Good. It's dark now. It's harder to find now. don't know what you mean. That's silent. Nice. What combine would you upgrade to if you had to upgrade? When we upgrade combines, we'll likely look at a S780, which would just be a series newer and basically the same machine that we have now. Potential for expansion of acres in your area, central Wisconsin, stuff to find land and land farming. Yeah, land has gotten a lot harder to find the last few years here. It used to be somebody would come and see us every year or two, we'd find something. Hasn't really been the case lately, and if it has, you know, somebody came and saw me this spring wanting to rent, wanting us to rent his farm, but he wanted almost $100 an acre more than I would have been willing to pay for it, so out of the question. But I don't know that there's anything really coming up in the near future. We'll see. Just depends. Like I said, there's always older guys that are going to retire or want to slow down or willing to rent their ground out, something like that. But there's a lot of competition, and we're not the biggest. We're not the best. We don't pay the most for rent. We don't pay the least, but we don't pay the most. And we try and do a good quality job. We try and have a really good relationship with our landlord. What? I didn't hear you. Well, I'm using my phone.
I can't hear you. Hold on 1 second.
He's going to send me a message on Instagram, but I'm using my phone for my YouTube live stream. Or he's going to, yeah. Alright, we're going to wrap this up here pretty quick here, guys, because we're having radio issues. Would you ever consider a different seed company to try? Well, potentially, but I am fairly brand loyal. Yeah, he's calling me.